Alrighty, so I'm joined by Lawrence. He's a former product manager over there. Was a product manager over there at Nike, and then I think you moved on to like a few other places since then. Uh, Former product gym student. But today we're going to go ahead and talk about how to make money as a career coach. More specifically on how you can make money as a career coach on Skool. All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Thanks, Rich. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Inviting me back. I always enjoy our one-on-ones and then especially, speaking to you here. So yeah, I was the original, one of your original cohorts, within your product management school, through product gym. And then obviously landed my opportunity at Nike. And then my most recent engagement is at J. Crew, as senior product manager. But now obviously I have, I want to shift my attention into wanting to learn, or like build a side hustle, right? Knowing with the skill sets that I have, and wanting to kind of expand, and go into understanding how to make more money, and more streams of income. So you and I were talking about this thing called Skool, so wanted to kind of engage you on that and really understand what is Skool and how did you build, I guess, how did you build out this platform for you to generate that side hustle, through coaching.
All right. So Skool is I'd say it's a community platform where not that different from like a Discord, not that different from like Slack. It's got basically the community messaging platform that people love. Kind of like a Reddit forum, but on the other side of it is you can actually host actual recorded curriculum. So most other competitors in the space, you're talking about like I think because in our business we get to go and play with so many different types of e-learning platforms like Kajabi. Product Gym is actually run on Thinkific. I played with like Teachable. I played with like Google Learning. Basically, like in my space, anytime there's like a new e-learning tool or platform, they basically go ahead and throw it to us. The problem with like traditional e-learning e-learning platforms that host curriculum is that it doesn't have a feature for you to have some kind of community aspect. So if you had, let's just say a Kajabi, all of these different e-learning platforms is basically some type of tool that can host a series of videos uh,
Hmm.
and just host a series of resources, right? The community messaging aspect of it is where you get to interact with other people because as human beings, we are prone and wired to procrastinate. So if you're gonna go like it's no different than I remembered when I was way younger, way younger, and I saw P90X and it said like, "Are you ready to get like, a six pack in 6 weeks for a hot sizzling summer?" For 69.99 is like you're gonna look like this guy, right? And I'm like, oh hell yeah. I think I only popped that thing open like I don't know, 5, 6 times. There's just simply too much friction for people to go out there and take action. So you need both. You can't just hand somebody this. We're not in the 1920s anymore, where people would read books like Think and Grow Rich, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna go to the bookstore or the library and I'm gonna read that thing, highlight, make a bunch of notes. Like, no, there's more information than ever. If you have the curriculum, either people are going to think it's total bullshit or it's going to be the real thing. But either way, let's just assume for a fact that people do buy into it.
Hmm.
Most people would never really bring themselves to take any action just because they procrastinate too much. They don't ever find the time and then they tell themselves like they're going to do it next month, next month, next month, next month, next month. You have to have some kind of community aspect of it. So in a really long-winded answer, Skool allows you to go ahead and do both, but it's also on a platform that's user-friendly enough. The other thing is also mobile. Most of their competitors, they either have one or the other. You have the community aspect of it, or
Hmm.
you have the curriculum aspect of it. So a lot of people that host their curriculum, they would have like another, like they'll host it on a Kajabi or Teachable, and then they'll have like another platform where they'll host it on like a Discord channel or a Facebook group, or they'll have another like exclusive Slack channel. Um, it just doesn't work out well. School basically lets you go ahead and do both, and you can also do it for mobile.
That's pretty convenient. Yeah, I was gonna say I've definitely had my fair share of experiences as far as downloading these type of like programs. I'm familiar with Kajabi. I've downloaded other programs through like Instagram, these influencers, and then it's just at first, like you said, you either download it and you procrastinate, or you download it and then it becomes overwhelming. You feel like you're alone and there's no community. So it seems like the Skool platform, like you said, it's a fusion of both the aspect where you get the lessons or the courses, but you also have the community that's provided there, so you don't feel like you're kind of alone in the water, or you're by yourself, or you're doing this solo. Um, and then so it sounds pretty beneficial and definitely sets itself apart. Um, so I guess, how did you land on this idea of like, utilizing this platform to create courses that's going to help, whether it be product managers or project managers or, business analysts or QAs or whoever it is that's trying to create this side business for themselves? What brought you to this idea, and like why did you think, or how did you make it work?
Hmm. What I've identified in the marketplace is that, so we have a high ticket offer that's
Mhm.
for going anywhere between, I'll say 12,500 to $15,000. And then we have no happy medium as a business in the middle. So
Mhm.
it's either you trust us and you drop 7, 12,500, 15,000.
Right.
Well, that's a combination of two things. Number one is for you, it might feel like high risk. The second aspect of it is it could also be high pain. So when like we operate in New York, obviously we have a name out there. We're very big in like the Bay Area for our particular demographic, right? Our niche. People cannot assume that I'd be walking up and down Broadway and not getting people jobs, right? But it's
Right.
just like, how much pain do I have to endure to get that end outcome? And I think that's something that's missing a lot in the world of coaching, is that the difference between this is what we call in our industry selling high ticket, which is any offer above $5,000. They
Yeah.
get on the phone with somebody, is that when they say yes, they got to commit effort.
Right.
Everything else, once you buy it, you don't need to commit effort. When you buy a car, there's no effort. You just got to drive it off the lot. If
Hmm.
some kid knocked on your door and said, "Yo, Lawrence, I can save you X amount of dollars by installing these solar panels on your roof," there's no effort. It's not like we're going to show you how to install the solar panels on your roof. You're not doing that, right? With
Hmm.
coaching, it's like no matter how much you pay me, it's not like other Asian guys haven't tried in New York. I can't interview for you. Right? Like you at the end of the day have to show up to that interview. So there has to be some kind of happy medium. Now, before Skool came around, the happy medium was a PDF. It's like, hey,
Right.
go out there and download this resume template, or go out there and download this cover letter template, or these are like 50 skills you should upload on your freaking LinkedIn. It's like a
Right.
PDF, right? And again, it goes back to like you could either you could either, when you're taking that, you could either think it's full of shit or you're like, oh yeah, this is cool. But both people are not necessarily, the majority of those people are still not taking action. It's like, okay, I have this resume template, so what am I going to do with it? Right?
Hmm.
Okay, I have these 50, like, it's like, what am I going to go ahead and do with it? They don't know. They still have to spend the time to figure out how they're going to implement it. The other thing
Hmm.
here, that's also assuming if they're ready to implement it immediately. The truth is, most people, they're just procrastinating. Like for our very specific niche, our beloved niche of product management, whenever somebody cleans up the backlog, it's almost like opening up a public storage unit. There's like Asana cards in there from like 2022. And they're like, oh yeah, just leave it there. Like, you ain't gonna, if you ain't gotten into it now, you ain't ever getting to it. Like, you might as well just,
Right.
people like, oh yeah, but you'll get to it someday. So Skool basically have the happy medium of like, holy shit, if this is the value I'm getting for $67, then if I drop like 7, 12, or $15,000, it must be way better. And it is, right? So you're giving like a really high value impact for a very low barrier to entry cost, where it's just like you can come. So it's no different than like when we're kids going to Costco. Yeah, the reason why they're handing out like free Pop Tarts and pizza bites is because they know, like, okay, we could spend that money on another commercial, or we can go ahead and actually like get into, we can actually hand out this free sample. And that's actually a live commercial right there too, right? So it gives you a chance to go out there and interact with the customer, but also gives the customer a chance to go out there and interact with you, because what people want is interaction. You'll learn more from talking to somebody for an hour than you actually can from reading a book. Because
Mm.
when you're asking somebody like on a one-on-one basis, like if I saw you, funny enough, you and I had a chance to go to the gym together a few times, right? But
Yeah.
when I'm asking you like, hey, what do you think, like, I got a bad knee, or like,
Right.
like my my rotator cuff on my shoulder, is there like a substitute for? You'll get more from that one-on-one interaction, because you're figuring out how you're going to be able to, like, how that information is actionable in your situation, how you can actually go out there and take action on it. So this
Mm.
gives a chance for you to interact on scale, because you have all these people hitting people up saying like, hey, can I go out there? I've had people that's offered to buy me coffee to taking me out to omakase dinners, which I've fully taken advantage of. But it's just like, it's one to one, right? It's like
Right.
you can't really do it like at scale. So Skool also allows you to go ahead and do that, because there's something called the trust. Like there's a trust journey that Google published, which is called 7-11-4. It
Hmm.
takes 7 hours of somebody hearing the same message over and over again, 11 times over,
Hmm.
across 4 different platforms, in 4 different ways, right? So one of
Hmm.
those platforms could be LinkedIn, Instagram, newsletter, YouTube, right? So it's hitting
Sure.
them from different ways for them to go out there and click. Because even when one of my team members brings me an idea that's going to put more money into my own pocket that I can spend to buy things like food and clothes and reinvest in the business,
Hmm.
when I'm hearing it, it's going to take me 7 hours to go ahead and kind of jive in to like, oh, now I get it. Right.
Hmm.
So, like, that's also a way for you to go ahead and basically marinate that piece of Korean barbecue before you can just go out there and throw that flank straight up on the grill. Right.
Right.
Otherwise, it's just like, it's very difficult because you have the people to carry over. So, you want to have that platform. Otherwise, there's no other platform that I saw that could do this as efficiently as Skool. But that's kind of
Mhm.
like where we're at in the business. Um,
So with that being said, I mean, it sounds all, all good and great, but let's just say you have all this content, right? Let's say you have all this information, but what's gonna convince them to trust you and say, hey, I'm gonna pay this $67 subscription fee to come to your school page, right? Like, take me for example, I'm a nobody. Like, but I have my wealth of experience, you know, based on my resume, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I think my resume is a heavy hitter. I've worked at Nike, now J. Crew. And prior to Nike, I was at Disney, DreamWorks, Sony Pictures. So I do have a wealth of knowledge, but me, I'm just a drop in the pool, right? So me going out, let's just say I create this Skool account and I, download, my information that I know onto Skool. I create the content, I create the courses. How am I engaging? How am I going to create this engagement with, my viewers, or how am I going to convince whoever, or how do I create foot traffic onto my Skool page and, get them to subscribe and say, oh God, like I'm going to take this guy's course versus, hey, there's this influencer on Instagram that has 80,000 followers and, she has her own, product management courses. I'm going to take hers because she has a following that's a lot more than, let's just say my personal account, which is like 1,000, 1,000 people
Or even zero, right? What if
or
it's
even zero, right?
what if it's zero? What if I'm starting at zero?
Exactly.
I think the first thing that you have to go ahead and do is actually create free live engagement first before
Mhm.
you can actually start creating like recorded content. Because here's the thing, the number one problem that a lot of people are trying to solve right now is how to get a job, right? Uh,
Right.
right. So like how to get a business analyst job, how to get like a UX designer job, how to get, I don't know, a plumber job. It's the one thing that will I mean, gosh, like you'd have like, I mean, I just drove past like a chiropractor school today after lunch, and it's
Mhm.
just like, okay, I got my chiropractor's license, right? But how do I get like a chiropractor job? Or, if you are, I mean, I think if you've got like the courage for it, like starting your own chiropractor business, starting from ground zero, you have zero Yelp reviews. Well, how do I go ahead and start getting people to come through the door,
Right.
before I have to go out there and pay my rent? I think the first thing is following the Gary Vaynerchuk framework, which is like
Oh,
give,
Gary
give,
V.
give, give, give.
Uh-huh.
And right now, people they love live engagement. So if you're talking about how to get a business analyst job right now, or like how to write a business analyst like resume, you throw up a free YouTube live. If you throw up a free Zoom webinar, that doesn't cost you money. You can do a LinkedIn live. I probably wouldn't want anybody that's able to be on LinkedIn to be able to see it. Like I'd probably want to filter, like that's why I do my webinars on Zoom, because I want to know the emails of everybody that actually is coming through.
Mhm.
But like I would throw free webinars, which I do. I doesn't cost you anything to throw a free 30-minute like Zoom call, right? And the most important thing is like interacting with your target audience. So in your case, you've worked for some of the biggest names trying to get a business analyst as a business analyst before. You've worked for some of the biggest studios, right?
Mhm.
And they shuffle their people like a lot, from like Disney to Sony to another studio, another studio, another studio. um Ask them like what do they need, and then you can start providing value immediately. If the things that they generally need, if you take a look at like career coaching from a chronological standpoint, at
Mhm.
the very top of the funnel, number one is always going to be resume. If you don't have a good resume, you cannot do anything. So if you take a look at like all the YouTube content for career coaching out there, resume just as a keyword ranks very high. And there's a
Mhm.
lot of things that you can just do within the world of resumes alone, like how to go out there and customize your resume, which I never ever agree about. But if people are going to do it, they might as well do it right. Or like one
Right.
page versus two-page resume, right? Or like how to go out there and write like resume, how to go out there and actually write like a good business analyst resume. Another thing that you can also do that makes your life very easy but has a very, very low effort is doing resume reviews. Like, hey, a lot of people are looking for a job right now. I want to go out there, like, come first 20 people. I will review your resume and show you the resume that I use to get into Sony, or the resume that I use, a business analyst resume that I use to get into Disney. Or, like, I always believe in volume. Like, you have some pretty rock star names underneath your belt. So
Right.
these are the last five resumes I used for my last five jobs. And this is like when people are feeling like, oh, I'm going to show up to this webinar and get one resume time. No, you can get five. Right. So they feel like, oh shit, okay. Like there's like a reason for them to like kind of come through, right? The
I
next thing
see.
that people have is always going to be like LinkedIn profiles. Um, and you could throw that kind of on like on as an add-on. Like I'll show you how I optimize. how I optimize my LinkedIn profile. Something that's also changed too in the world of like, I think content creation in terms of titles is like how to content is now how I content. Like
Hmm.
if they say like how to do something is like, man, F you. You know, it's like if I say like if you say like, well, how to get a six pack versus how I got a six pack, well, nobody can go out there and freaking deny you because that's what worked for you. I'm putting out there, this is what I did for me. You can do
Hmm.
whatever you want. You know, I feel great. You know, so
Hmm.
like I like how I got into Nike or how I got into Sony, how I got into like this XYZ company, right? People like they love that, and then it's like creating like other like interviews, the round one business analyst interview, round two. You know, one of the first things that you said to me when we first met, a lot of people don't know this, some people do. Lawrence and I met when I was like a tech recruiter and at working
Oh
at an
yeah, that's right.
agency. I was actually pretty green at that time. And then we interviewed you like one by one, and then I remember you said something that was pretty interesting, like, or maybe like all of you guys want to come back in here and just like kind of attack me at the same time. I was like, that's not how it works. But like, you know, the round one interview versus round two interviewers, round three interview are three very different rounds of the interview, right?
Right.
So like if you did something, what I've noticed is like job hunting is always split up into like or like career transitions is probably can be split up into four major phases that people are very curious about. We
Hmm.
talk about phase one is like what do you need to get the interviews? Because if you're
Right.
not even booking actual interviews on the calendar, you ain't playing, you a spectator. Like you're
Right.
actually not in the game, you know? Now, the second thing here is you're actually in the game, but you're getting your ass kicked. So that really comes down to like round one interview, round two interview, round three interview, salary and all that. One of our YouTube videos that did the best, which just comes down to category three, I would say at the very end of the funnel is like basically all the stuff that you're doing with like post placement, right? You're like, how I navigate, like, what are the biggest challenges, first 30 days on the job as a product.
Right. 30, 60, 90.
What,
Right.
what, what are the biggest challenges the first 60 days, like your first quarter, your first year, your first day? And if you throw in like the hardest part about being a business analyst and you throw in a little thumbnail because people love negativity. People say they like positivity, but people love negativity more. It's like I almost got fired today. It just makes people want to click on that
Right.
YouTube video even more because people ain't trying to get fired, right?
Right.
So, like topics that people always gravitate to is product management over or is being a business analyst even worth it anymore? Like
Right.
people are always looking for something new and people are always like because people tend to just like look for negativity in life and they look for narratives to reinforce their negativity. So business analyst is over. Like 10 reasons I regret becoming a business analyst. What nobody tells you about being a business analyst. The dark
Right.
truth about being a business analyst. The dirtiest secret about being a business. People love that shit, dude. They love,
Right.
but you switch up the title on them, it's just like, like the dark, the dirty little secret nobody talks about in tech sales. Well, dirty little secret is you get to work from anywhere you want. I'm actually not even in the country right now. My boss has no idea. I've been working remotely from Argentina the last 3 months. I'm still
Yeah.
crushing it. But people actually go out there and still kind of like watch it through, right? So I think like, you have like the post placement content and then at the very, very beginning phase is like a day in the life of a business analyst. Should you be a business like what I do as a business analyst, what I actually do? Because in the chronologically, you have the people that are like, what the hell am I supposed to go ahead and do next? Now,
Hmm.
business analyst, becoming a business analyst is a lot easier than a product manager because like
Hmm.
business and like a BA is kind of like the corporate version of PM. Like if you're talking about something like QA, even lower barrier. So and like plus for every one product manager, there's like 25 QAs, right? So if you
Right.
own that QA niche, you're definitely printing cash, right? But
Hmm.
like if you're talking about it from the very top, you're gonna have the people that are very curious, right? That are just like, should I even make the transition? And then I would say on the top half, if you split it up into two layers, there's the people that are very curious about it. And you basically, I think, as like career coaching influencers, people like they run two routes. They kind of shame it and glamorize it at the same time. Like CSI Miami is not what it's like to really work in a crime scene lab. You don't drive around in like some $150,000 Humvee. There's no cool EDM music in the background. There's not a bunch of attractive looking people. Like, but like, you kind of glamorize it. I would say like if you're talking about category one, I would say category 1A is like what is like a day in the life and all the shit that you do.
Hmm.
Category one, I would say B is like, okay, what are all the skills that you need? These are people that are starting to get actually very serious. You always
Hmm.
want to water and nurture the top of the funnel because like those people are going to trickle down, like I would say 6 months, 9 months later. And that's actually how you scale because if you're working in career coaching, the people that are in the most pain that need you right now, if you're always focusing on that, you're very limited to how many conversions that you get up front. If you're talking
Hmm.
about the second category down is like, oh, they're in the game. So these are
Hmm.
people that are trying to get the interviews. And if you're trying to get the interviews right now, it comes down to like a few levels beyond that too. Your resume, your LinkedIn, your cover letter. You don't got these three things, you can't apply. You can't apply, you don't have interviews, right? And it comes down to like, how are you going to get the interviews? You're either going to go out there and apply or you're going to go out there and network. So you have basically that category two of content of just like, that's the next phase is like, everything you need to do to get to the interviews.
Right. Kind
If
of
you're
like the
talking
prep work.
about category three, is like round one, round two,
Two
round
round three.
three, maybe a round four, depending on the job. And then definitely the salary negotiation, your package, your start date, your background check. That I would say is like category three.
I see.
And then you're talking about like category four, and there's a shit ton of stuff that you can talk about just within like round one. If you even wanted to go more granular, is like should you do to prep for the interviews before you get on the interview? How should you go out there and actually follow up after the interviews? What about the thank you letter templates, right?
Hmm.
There's like unlimited amount that you can go out there and talk about. In category three of just like, okay, you got the email or phone call that says next Wednesday at 1 o'clock, we want you to talk to XYZ person, all the way up to like you have an offer letter, start dates in 2 weeks, here's the background check, and you're just waiting. That's like I would say category three or phase three. If you're talking
Hmm.
about the very final fourth category, is like all the things that you need, like, to start the job. Like, what are the skills? Again, like, what are the skills required in doing the job? And it just kind of goes back, like, Lion King, the circle of life, right? Like, all the biggest challenges of like doing the job.
Hmm.
What are all the skills that you should be learning like ahead of time?
Hmm.
But between that, you can basically just keep it flowing, and then from there, it's just basically the more challenges that they give you the more resources you can just go out there and create for these people. Like for us, it's like we show people how to write a product manager resume if you're coming from a finance background. We show you how to write a product manager resume if you're coming from an MBA background. We show you all that. Hell, I even show you step by step the prompt you're supposed to input into ChatGPT, but people too lazy to do it. So,
Hmm.
like, what do they do with that information? And then you add that information onto Skool, and then that's where they buy the information. So
Okay.
instead of you saying like all my YouTube videos right now pretty much is like on loop. I don't
Okay.
even film really on camera anymore. Why? Because I'll just tell you like, okay, instead of me telling you these are the five thank you letter templates that you need, I'm just gonna tell you, here's 25 thank you letter templates you can just freaking download. Because $67 dropped in 15 minutes is a better use of your time than you even going to ChatGPT to like whip out those 2025 like thank you letter templates.
Hmm.
So like the more questions that they give you, it's like this is the questions that they basically have because these are the pain points that they're experiencing. Generally speaking, most people are pretty decent, okay, at answering questions when people are asking them directly. Think about what they're going to do with that information and just provide them that asset inside a Skool. If you couple that with they can also meet other people, they're going to love it because like now you have like other accountability buddies because you know you're not gonna do it on your own. I mean, I told
Right.
you this story, right? Look at Soul Cycle. You're freaking talking like they didn't have bikes at the gym before Soul Cycle.
Hmm.
You know, like we're gonna have it at a dedicated time. If you take a look at everything, it would just be easier for you to just hop on that bike by yourself. Soul Cycle is running on a schedule. You don't just show up there whenever you want. I mean, kind of, but not really. It's like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, right? There's X number of slots. And then if you go enough, you know which ones are the shitty bikes and which ones are the bad bikes. So you got to reserve bike number 15, right? And then
Hmm.
it's just like which instructor has like the better playlist. Honestly speaking, you can go out there and put together your own Spotify list. You can get to that. You can get to that. You can start getting to your little spin bike whenever you want. You don't need to go there at 5. You can go there at 5:17 and just get on it right now. And you know
Hmm.
which bike is good and which bike is bad. But like the thing is, people don't like to think anymore. That's a very dangerous thing about where society is going is like people have really lost the ability to figure shit out, but this is a gigantic making opportunity because people aren't using their brain anymore. So they just want to be told what to do.
Right. They kind of want to be handheld. They kind of want to just have like a trust, like, trust the process kind of deal, like someone to handhold them through the process.
No,
Um,
I'm not here to knock, and I want to be very clear, just in case anybody wants to take this shit out of context. I'm not knocking anybody. I'm putting myself in that same group. I recently had to get my passport renewed this year. They had
mhm,
a video for every single step. And it was like for an extra $300, it was just like, we'll just expedite the process. I just dropped the 3 bills and just had my
mhm,
freaking assistant just take care of it because it was just too much friction. You know, my
mhm.
friend Claire is about right now 10K weekend hosting these Airbnb classes. And it's literally, he has like all the recordings are there. Airbnb has it in their tutorials, but people don't believe me. He's literally just saying, all you need to do is come with your property photos, 12 interior, 12 exterior. Like, you see where it says first name, put your first name here. Last name, put your last name here. Property address. Do you have your 12 photos? If not, mighty good time for you to take those photos right now and upload them. And
Mhm.
literally, like, it'll just go, like, people just lost that. But I'm very empathetic to it because I get frustrated very easily when I was just like, I just ordered like a portable monitor and it was hilarious because like my intern was just like, Rich, why are you getting frustrated? And I was like, oh, this freaking thing's not turning on. I'm just looking at it like sideways, and I was like, am I getting like just too old? People just don't have that. I'll give you another example. 4 months, 3 months into COVID, I left New York to work out of our Seoul office. And
Mhm.
hilariously enough, when I was in that co-working space, I sat for like 2 hours and my back started hurting. You want to know why? Because like
Why?
that was the longest amount of time I was sitting without lying on my bed. I was like drafting all the emails, all the newsletters, writing all the curriculum, all the social media posts, scripting all the YouTube videos, all on my iPhone on my back. And then all of a sudden I was sitting for like 3 hours and I was getting ready to just drop. So, like, the human capacity for laziness is pretty grand. You know,
Yeah,
it doesn't take a whole lot for you to give somebody comfort for them to like go back to the other side. They just can't do it. And that's where we're at right now.
I see. So let
Yeah.
me just recap a little bit. So you're saying, if we don't have like, let's just take myself as an example, and you came to me, you're like, hey, Lawrence, we have this great idea. We can do career coaching, and given my wealth of knowledge, like you're able to go ahead and share this. But given that I don't have a following on any social media platform, um, what you're saying that what I should do is do the Gary Vee thing is to create free content. So given that I don't have a YouTube account, I would go ahead and create a YouTube account and literally just start posting videos. Just start kind of regurgitate or just kind of, what I know, organize it in a way that is digestible or consumable for the viewers on YouTube as a platform, or let's say LinkedIn as another platform, or maybe even like Instagram as another platform where I can create another account. I don't need to use my personal account, but I'll create a new account and then just start creating content itself, but not give away everything, right? Just kind of
Yeah.
create your
Not
say.
giving away everything. I,
Right. Okay.
I think the other thing that you can also go ahead and do is also like Skool allows you to go ahead and just add like you can adjust pricing. Like you don't start off charging like 67 bucks either, right?
Okay. So
Like
it's kind of like Kajabi.
right. So you can, it's actually not easy. I'll give you the gold, I'll give you the golden solution right now, especially for all of you guys that have made it to the end of this video here, is you go type in business analyst and everybody that's just got an open to work sign, you send them which is not difficult right now to find.
Uh-huh.
But you go on LinkedIn, you type in business analyst and you look up people. Everybody that you see that has an open to work sign, you just click that thing, open a new tab. And you do that up until you have 100 tabs open. About 10 tabs a window, you just got to do it for 10 windows. You go to the Google Chrome store and then you download this one little Chrome extension called Copy All URLs. And it's a little umbrella icon. It automatically just copies all the URLs that you have open in the window. And in 10 clicks, you have 10 LinkedIn profiles. This is all done for free. And you just send them all a message. Hey, uh, you connect with them and then you send them a message. When you connect with somebody on LinkedIn, you can go out there and add a note. And the note is like, I'm reviewing business analyst resumes. I see here for free next Tuesday at 8 o'clock. Would you like to come through? And I would like to answer any job hunting questions that you have. And it's free. And they're going to come through because nobody likes anything else other than free. Now you got 100 people on an email list. You pop all those people onto another free Substack account. Substack is 100% free too. And
Hmm.
now you have 100 people that subscribe to your Substack. Like I personally right now have like I think like 27,000 people on my Substack. And
Hmm.
you can just build up a list of people like 100 people a day. In 7 days, you'll have 700 people and you'll just mobilize them all like and 4 weeks out of the year. So you'll have 2,800 people that you've contacted that has an open to work sign that will show up to a freaking webinar for you for free and will give you, you'd be able to easily collect at least 1,000 resumes, right? Now you gather up all of their biggest challenges and you ask them, what are y'all's biggest challenges? Is it upskilling because you've got some BA skills?
Hmm.
Is it getting the interviews? Is it converting those interviews into offers? And then now you bring that back to our little group here because and then you can basically let me know. Like, Rich, these are the questions. And then you can ask them on the actual live call. All right, guys, I have 17 challenges that you guys told me about. Of these 17 challenges, you can reorganize everything into categories. Okay, if I was to go out there and create assets for you, you guys think you guys need like a resume template, right? For a customized
Hmm.
resume template. Well, there's only really seven or eight different types of business analyst jobs. So you only really need 8 resume templates. I'm gonna go out there and create 16 resume templates, 2 resume templates per type of freaking business analyst job. I'm gonna go out there and pop it into Skool. And that Skool, you can start charging $5 for. And they'll buy it for $5, right? So you get
Hmm.
10 people, that's $50. And then like the more details they give you, the more curriculum and resources you can go out there and create. So in about 30, 60, 90 days, it's not feasible, it's not like out of the question for you to just clear 10 G's like a month. Now you have $10,000 recurring, like on a like coming in on a monthly recurring basis.
Interesting. So you're treating this kind of platform like a sales pitch, kind of like you're treating like a sales marketing kind of approach where, like you said, someone like me, I'm creating content, I'm, creating, content on YouTube or Instagram or LinkedIn. And like you said, let's just use LinkedIn as an example. I'm trying to reach out to, so it's kind of like cold calling, right? Let's just kind of relate it to that where, I'm searching for individuals that are open to work. And then I'm pretty much cold calling in the sense of like knocking on their door or sending them a message saying, hey, I see that you're open to work. I'm offering XYZ, whether it be like a free webinar on resume review or how to land a interview or convert an interview to the next round interview, whatever it may be. And then you're offering that for free. Is that right?
Pretty much.
I
Like,
see.
you get them into the webinar and you get them engaging. And here's the other thing that you can basically go ahead and do that's going to go ahead and essentially keep the money train coming through,
Hmm.
which is going to be great for you. Okay, you take that call, okay? You can take that call and basically, if you're running the call like this, I have your permission to post this up on YouTube, but let's just say you didn't. You get an iPod or you just set your phone down here and you can record the whole freaking coaching call. You're not showing anybody's face, but they're going to watch you. People love seeing that kind of crap, right? So you can
Hmm.
upload that whole coaching call over to your YouTube and to the Lawrence
Hmm.
Ty YouTube, right? And
Hmm.
that will automatically start building a lot of people to come and just start seeing it. The other thing here is you can also let the people know if you guys want to watch it again, you guys can go out there and watch it again on my YouTube. That's going to get people to subscribe. You can also go ahead and watch it again, which you should, and you can cut it up into separate other videos where they're going to ask you like, well, what if I have a work gap? What if it does this make me look like job hoppy? You can go out there and optimize all those titles. You take all those questions and then you cut it up. Okay. And then you list out the minutes and you can ask ChatGPT to create more search friendly titles. Okay. And all of a sudden, one coaching call, you just created 19 YouTube videos and you're going to you're going to let them know. Sign up for my Lawrence Ty Substack because I'm going to notify you guys when those YouTube videos are up. So you
Hmm.
do this thing like 2, 3 times a week, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a week. Okay. We straight OnlyFansing the entire experience. All right.
Hmm.
You're gonna get the YouTube subscribers going up. You're gonna
Okay.
get view hours going up. So you're on your track to actually monetizing your YouTube. You're creating all these different assets, resume templates, LinkedIn templates, interview cheat sheets, thank you letter templates, cover letter templates. All of that stuff is going into Skool, and then you basically just upsell. The more people that they see on Skool, the more people are going to go ahead and want to pay your Skool because they see a bunch of other people on your Skool. That's your social proof. And you can just go out there and say, yo, this is Lawrence, your unofficial business analyst coach, or your unofficial project manager coach, or your unofficial QA coach, whatever you want to say. You can run all three schools, right?
Hmm.
And essentially speaking, you can and you should. You want to know why? Because everything you do for one channel, you can just do for the other two. So whenever you print $1, you really print three
Hmm.
because you're just replicating it 3 times over. So if you find out like something like this, what the most searched YouTube channel, YouTube topic in career coaching right now is this job dead? Is product management dead? Is software engineering dead? Is being a UX designer even worth it anymore?
Yeah.
Once you figure out one YouTube title that works,
Yeah.
you just record those 3 videos all in one day.
Yeah. Sorry,
Is
I forgot my charger. But yeah, continue.
Yeah, is business analyst dead? Is QA dead? Is this dead? If you really wanted to go out there and get scumbag with it, here's a trick. You record one video and you post it up on all 3 channels and you're printing. Like, I'll do that. Sometimes people let me know about it because I'll just say, like, people keep on asking me, is this job over? And I tell them it's absolutely not. You're seeing a bunch of postings right now. Your major problem is you don't have these 8 resume templates, right? But in the whole video, you don't mention BAP project or QA, but you can post it up on all 3 channels, right? So now you're just force multiplying effort. Get it? Or like,
Mhm.
you can go out there and like actually find like a really good channel, a really good YouTube topic like how to negotiate the highest business analyst salary, how to negotiate the highest project manager salary, how to negotiate the highest QA salary.
Uh-huh.
You don't mention the job title, you can just record one video and just print it on freaking 3 channels. So people
That's
ask
true.
me this all the time. You already know who I am. Subscribe if you guys haven't already. Number one thing that you need to know about salary negotiation is definitely do your research. And you can start off on websites like Glassdoor. And you're just basically like every $1 you print, you're really printing $3. And
Right.
I see the glow on your face right now where you're seeing all
Oh
kinds
yeah, I
of
mean
things that
things
you
are
can
definitely
do.
turning, right? The gears are definitely turning, but yeah, no, I think that's very interesting. I think where most people will be able to relate is obviously the time that's going to take, and this is obviously just um the legwork, right? That I think people probably will procrastinate is like, okay, well, I don't have a following. That means I need to take the time to create the YouTube platform, um, create the new content, and then promoting that content either through social media or LinkedIn, and then pushing that traffic on it like towards Skool, right? So that people know like so it's like funneling. It's like kind of like what you were talking about earlier with your sales funnel. It's like understanding the content that you're creating, how you're promoting that content, once you have it, and then directing that traffic, whether it be YouTube and then or LinkedIn or Instagram, and then directing them to the Skool URL, right? Like
Right,
the link to
right.
your Skool.
I think the two ways that people can go out there and get around that is basically like there's two things that you can do, and I recommend doing both. Number one is joining my Skool community, showing people how to break into career coaching. Link is in the
Mm,
description. Number two is actually you documenting your entire journey
mm,
because it's like you said like earlier, like people love seeing people when people see the result, they already feel like it's too late. Like if people are actually watching you start something from scratch, it's the easiest way because people want to know what it was like going from zero to like one to five to 10 versus
right,
like once you're at like 10 to 20, it's like, oh yeah, it's like it's easy, right? Like people actually want to see, people love seeing the journey. One thing about like online storytelling is more people watch than you think. Sometimes when I take a look at a video and I see like a very low amount of views, I don't really know how much of that constitutes as a view. But I get
mm,
like tons of people joining all my programs, and it's just like I don't like I wish I could see, well, I don't know if I want to, but like all the people that are watching it, but a lot of times like I just actually just don't. So get it out frequent, get it out often and just assume that you have like 500,000 to like a million views on it because the more consistent you are, like it'll just blow up. Right now too, like people want more live engagement than anything. So like the more live engagement that you're actually putting up, like it's going to be easier for you to monetize and establish trust with your customer. That's the beauty of like live engagement too.
mm-hmm,
When you're selling high ticket, it's always going to be like risk plus pain or reward plus effort, and they always have to like juggle between that. And most people are always going to choose safety and comfort versus like actually taking action. At the very least, you will sell enough value that they'll come back again. And they'll come back again and they'll come back again. And when you do it consistently enough, people will just come through. So this is why I just know like I'm not gonna lose. Like there's 10,000, 12,000 like product manager openings right now. Cybersecurity, there's about 650,000 openings. Realistically speaking, if you apply to 400 or 500 jobs like a day, you would freaking get a job. Most people can't bring themselves to do it. But if I gave you $100,000 to get a job before New Year's, I think you can because so we don't really have a market issue right now. We have a motivation issue, right? That's
mm-hmm,
actually what I say to like my admissions team whenever they're like, "Oh yeah, people are like waiting till New Year." And I was like, "All right, I'll give all of you guys right now $25,000 cash money if you guys go out there and close an extra 10 people." And they all pretty much came pretty damn close. That was like my
mm-hmm.
little Christmas bonus to them. Like so, we don't necessarily. I mean I remember like my nephew back in the motherland. I told him I was like, "Yo, you get like straight A's on your next report card. I'll give you $10,000 US." Dad was like, "I've never seen that kid study so hard in his life." Like so, it's like so like if you're doing all of this legwork and you're thinking to yourself that like man, I can record like 100, 200 YouTube videos out there, but I'm not making money until like people buy in my school. The other way that you got to think about it is if you document this entire journey, you're going to get paid regardless because more people are going to go ahead and watch that. Like a lot of people that watch like a day in the life content, you can type in like day in the life of like a Navy SEAL. I'm never going to be a Navy SEAL.
Right, right,
But like I'm always curious, and I think a lot of people are. That's why like military influencers, they crush it. Like day
right.
in the life, like that Korean cooking show recently called
Oh
Korea's
yeah,
just
calling your heart.
freaking
Yeah,
it's influencer capital, right? Like that
right.
Korean cooking show called Culinary Wars, all their restaurants got booked out. So that's why like these guys and girls fought like tooth and nail to get on that show. Because that was the goal there. Probably I would say Seoul's probably the second most competitive restaurant scene right now after New York. They're
Yeah.
like their team was like, you guys got to get on it. It's all about like monetizing that personal brand because the more eyeballs that you just get on your stuff, not only are you going to be able to sell, not only are you going to be able to sell your own like course offer, but the way that I always thought about it was these skills, the more that I master them, people are going to pay me to learn these skills
Okay.
to like promote
Let me
it.
ask you this. What would you say would be the biggest challenge for someone that wants to, let's just say they have their job, right? They have their PM job, whether it be project management, product management, or, they have their program management job or business analyst, QA, what have you. And they want to go ahead and create this extra income on the side, and they want to do this extra 10K a month, just so that they could, live comfortably or, start an investment, whatever the idea is that they want this extra cash. What would you say would be the biggest challenge for them coming into this space? Would it be, overthinking? Would it be the difficulty of having to create a YouTube channel that they know nothing about? Would it be creating the content itself? Or would it be, directing, once they have the content, like, are they able to reach out to you? Like, is there a sense of community here where, let's just say they didn't even join Product Gym, right? I mean, me, fortunately, I was in one of your first cohorts, and luckily for me, I met you when you were, a recruiter still, right? A technical recruiter still. So obviously I could ask you for help. But let's just say someone that knows nothing about this, doesn't know who you are, they want to join. What would you say would, like, let's just say like top two or top three like biggest hurdles that they'll have to overcome?
I think number one is just starting. Like so many people, they say they're gonna do more research, and I'm like, research what? Like, are we counting like I don't know how much grass you have in like your local park? It's just like at some point you have to decide that you want to do this. And I think if the last 2.5 years wasn't a big enough wake up call for people working in tech to generate a secondary income, I don't really know what is. Like generally speaking, I think a lot of people are pretty complacent, pretty lazy about their situation.
I
So
agree.
this is actually where the advantage is because like most people aren't doing this. I'm not going to list any names and I'm not going to knock on anybody's personal brand, but
Mm,
there's a lot of people in the world of tech, and I would say like product management, tech sales, cybersecurity, software engineering, product marketing, even people that are working like on the heavy business side, like VCs. There's a lot of people that would say their content suck, and I'm like, no, you suck. Because they're printing hundreds of thousands of views. They have hundreds of thousands of subscribers and their companies some people would tell me like, oh, I've worked with that guy or girl before and they suck on their jobs. Like, you want to know why their company's not firing them? You want to know why their company's not firing them? The same reason why nobody's even thinking about laying off Shimu's girlfriend. Like
mm.
that guy from Shang-Chi?
Oh yeah, 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 yeah.
When you have a brand, they're not gonna go out there and touch you. And then like I think the other negative thing, it's so funny because like technically on paper, she's like the guy's like girlfriend, right? And like
Right.
she works at like I think like Warner's or somebody told me that.
Uh-huh.
But she looks like she's in a different city every week, minimum two.
Right.
How do you maintain a job like that? Well, kudos, right? I'm not gonna say anything negative, but like when you have like a brand, what I've noticed is like when you have a brand, companies think real hard about touching you. Like that is one of the columns on the recruiter spreadsheet of layoffs. Do you have a brand or not? If you have like a TikTok, Instagram, newsletter, YouTube, and it's got north of a certain amount of like subscribers, they think they have to do like an additional review to think about freaking laying your head down on the guillotine. That's just a fact. You met me when I was a recruiter, so you know I know that insight.
Hmm.
Secondly, this is actually why you got to do it on your own too. I mean, do like with a group too. Is like even the people that get laid off, like in tech right now, if you're an influencer and you so much as think you're about to get laid off, they grab every tripod they have in the house and they live stream that bad boy. Dude, that gets them so many views. I was like, you know how many views that gets them? I was like, the number of people, they could all take a job if they really wanted to. And I was like, you know what kind of video content they're making right now? Oh, my girlfriend or boyfriend and I are going to go ahead and go to Paris for the Olympics. They're laid off. I'm going to go out there and take a UX research class. Or this week, I decided to prioritize my mental health by taking a Korean cooking class. You want to know what they're not talking about? How bad the job market is and how hard it is to get an interview right now in tech because they made so much money off of that one video that they've repurposed so many different times that they don't need to look for another thing. So when you tell me like what's the hardest thing, number one is like starting, and number
Okay.
two is like having a community to keep you accountable. Number three is actually making the process fun. And number four, actually knowing that there are some very clear deliverables here. This is a quantity game. Everything in life is. If you go out there and record like I would say 500 YouTube shorts, not difficult. People hear that number and it's just like, if you just go out there and record five a day, and trust me, it's a 60-second video. So you'll quickly get up to 10. Just a lot of times people just like take all the questions people ask you and just go ahead and pop that thing onto ChatGPT and say, add emojis for these YouTube short titles and make it more searchable. Just go ahead and just record on your iPhone and just upload like 1 to 5 like a day. Boom. In like 8 days, honestly, you'll have like 500 shorts up, right? You'll print.
Uh-huh.
Going out there and just recording like 20 YouTube videos, very easy. If you do one coaching call, you can edit that into 19, 15, 20 videos very easily. So I think it's having like all these hacks. So join the community, have people keep you accountable, make the process fun, and just treat it like a job. Have very clear set deliverables because it honestly doesn't take you more than an hour or two a day. And then by the next, like, okay, we're doing coaching calls every Thursday. By next Thursday, what's your deliverable? By next Thursday, what's your deliverable? By next Thursday, what's your deliverable? Even if you make like, okay, today, this Saturday, I'm just going to spend 1 hour making 30 Instagram posts. It's not difficult, right?
Hmm.
This is how you set up the titles. I show people how to do it in ChatGPT. It's quite simple. You spend 1 hour and you just put that thing posting on autopilot, and then you have that. But the problem is most people want to go ahead and do research, and then most people also want to go ahead and just be cynical. It's just like, well, well, I don't have a brand, and you'll never have one if you don't start. That's another way of looking at it. Like, if you don't want to get laid off again, you need to have a brand. I don't want to put my face out there. That's your choice. But where this business is going in tech is this. The product managers, and not just product managers, I'm talking about the software engineers, this whole racket. Your YouTube channel will be your resume in 2025. The
Mm.
product managers that have the product managers, cybersecurity specialist analysts, the tech salespeople, the software engineers, the QAs, everybody in tech that does not have a personal brand will find it very difficult to get to scale interviews
Mm.
because the people that have a brand, you and I just talked about it today, where it's just like, yo, seems like a lot of these influencers that are in the world of product management are Taiwanese, right?
Hmm.
As are we, but like the hilarious thing is like when you get a resume from them, you're gonna be like, oh shit, I watch that person's YouTube video all the time. Like you're already naturally curious to talk to that person because they're somewhat of a semi-celebrity, right? It's
Hmm.
and you're only seeing more influencers that are coming into the tech space. So
Right.
people that are like I notice like people that don't have a community, they're just cynical about everything. It's just like, oh, well, I don't have a brand. We'll start a brand. Well, I don't know how to start. I'll show you how to start it. Well, it's like, I don't even want to put my face out there. Well, you got to understand, like, your best defensive plan to not getting laid off is to have a personal brand. Your best offensive plan to getting a much better job in a shorter amount of time in tech is to have a personal brand. Well, I know people that have a personal brand that also got laid off. Yeah, do you see them? Do you see them? Do you see them angry, frustrated, and depressed about not having a job? That's when they're like, well, they put out really crap content. They still make a lot more money than you do. You're not going to make more money. I was like, yo, bro, like you're not making more money in tech because you're working harder. like, if you thought that was what we do, I'm sorry, you've come to the wrong place. Like
Right.
working hard has working hard has no correlation with income. I'm sorry to have to say that I worked way harder as a recruiter when I was working on Wilshire at that recruiting agency than I ever did as my own boss. And what I made is like not even it's a freaking pathetic percentage compared to what I used to like. Well, like it was so sad, like working for somebody else versus working for myself, right? So yeah, and I think like the effort and everything, I think it's also like a matter of perspective. I think a lot of times when people in tech they kind of psych themselves out. I'm like, yo, the easiest business for people in tech to go out there and start is actually monetizing your own knowledge. They're like, yeah, but I want to build something. You really want to take 20 VCs out to dinner. You were talking about like bribing MBA grads, drinks, going out networking to hopefully get a meeting to pitch your pre-revenue idea just to
Right.
get psychologically abused and thrown against the wall a few times, laughed at out of there because those things are brutal. It's like
Right.
we're revolutionizing the way people buy coffee. Next,
Right. Right.
like you want to do that just to what flex on Instagram that you secured what 10 million in seed money. You're
Hmm.
not getting all of that up front, bro. You're
Right.
getting
Right.
that in milestones. You're getting that drip. And then
Right.
like it could be 7 years before like Facebook was not profitable for 7, 8 years. So I mean, I guess I might as well volunteer for the Marines if I'm going to go out there and do that. Like, that's a very painful route. This you can start monetizing in a very short amount of time, and everybody's building their personal brand. If you notice, like Elon Musk is showing up on more podcasts. This is way before the election, right? Mark
Hmm.
Zuckerberg is doing it. He hired a whole PR team. So, like, attention is the new oil, and the people that dominate more attention, people are just going to naturally assume they're good at what they do, whether they're good or not. And
Hmm.
people, I promise you this way, Tesla would not have its sales if it wasn't for Elon's brand. People buy Tesla because people buy Elon.
Right. Right. Right.
You know, if a Cybertruck had no Elon, you would not see Cybertruck on the
Right. Right. Right.
road. Like people straight wilding right now. But yeah, what are the questions you have for me about starting this?
No, I think that's it. I think, overall, I think it's like what you said, it's just about starting and then having that sense of community, right? So, I mean, I'm already thinking about, how I'm gonna, hopefully after this, I'm gonna try to work with you on this, and then
Working
hopefully be
together on
able
this
to,
already. Yeah.
like you said, I think, attention is the new cash, or, um, attention is the new product, content is king. And at the end of the day, it's if you don't start now, you'll never start. So might as well create this own personal brand, find your community, and then just start pumping out the content for free, and then directing that not and really not overthinking, right? Not like, oh, I need to do more research, or I need to look into this a little bit more, or I need to ask more questions. whatever it may be, just utilize what you know, right? Because like they say, knowledge is power, right? Or knowledge is wealth. So it's like utilize what you know and then putting that into a formatted piece of content, giving away for free. Obviously limited, right? You don't want to give everything away for free, but limit the content that you're creating, putting it into a small, like a short reel, or like a short, and then
Yep.
cutting it up, whether it be like a minute or 2 minute long reel, or 1 minute, 2 minute long videos on YouTube, and then directing that over to your Skool account, and then hopefully, with Skool, and if people are wanting to join the PG community or utilize, Richard's group here, we're here to help you out. We're here to, come together and support each other, and kind of get this second stream of income, right? We want to create the second stream or third stream of income, whatever it may be.
I mean, like
Whatever.
ultimately, everybody that started a personal brand, all and every more and more people are doing it like every single week, has always regretted like not starting sooner. I mean, when I was like things that I regret talking to like, and this is the other thing, I'm gonna be showing you guys like the things that I'm learning from like an actual like brand marketing team because I can afford it, right? If we're looking back at like what I regretted the most, remember I went to Korea during COVID and I did quarantine.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My brand strategist was like, yo, if we would have like you would have gotten more people interested in like that experience of you like
Moving.
I just landed in Korea.
Right. So
Oh
it's
my
like a
gosh,
personal like
like
vlog pretty much, right?
yeah,
Like you had like
they
a
got
traveling
like
vlog.
soldiers out here with assault rifles, like by there's like all right, now today we're gonna talk about how to get a director or product management role. Like he's like, if you would have like said what like people would have just been so much more interested because like you gotta have you gotta have some like people buy stories, like that's why they're like the when you're watching like sports and fights and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
one of the things that boxing realized was in order to promote a fight, you had to go out there and had this whole backstory of the fighter, and then they trail them. Back in the days, I think HBO Showtime would call it All Access. And it was
Mhm.
just like how they trained and how that, like, people get so vested in that storyline, and that's why they end up paying for the fight. Like UFC, the reason why UFC is successful is because they bet literally the last bucket of cash they had on this thing called like the Ultimate Fighter on Spike, and it was like 20 fighters, one contract, winner takes all. And
Right.
people love seeing that 0 to 1 journey. So like you documenting that shit right now, like I have never used Skool before in my life. I'm starting from ground zero. So many people that are going to be at ground zero is going to be watching that thing go up versus like when I'm talking about it, so many the first reaction I get from like you or like so many other people in our community is like, well, Rich, you already have a brand, you're hiring a freaking team, you have like access to these resources, blah 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 blah. But like the truth is, people love that 0 to 1. This is actually what got F1. This is what got him popular was when they rolled out that show on Netflix called Need for Speed, and
Hmm.
people started because people love that story. So you have
Yeah.
people that may not be like a football fan. They may not even be like a Patriots fan, but they're a Tom Brady fan because they
Right.
love Tom Brady's story, right? So the earlier in that story that you're in, then like it capitalizes. So like um I won't spoil it too much, but in 72 hours from now, I'm going to be launching a whole new journey that I'm going to let people kind of go out there and trail and follow. And I'm telling you, dude, it's let's start now, man. It's going to be great.
Cool. Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. Let's do it. So for anybody else that wants to go, especially like I think the niche that I really focus on is helping tech professionals um monetize their journey, their career journey, both into the job and then basically also on the job and doing other things, uh, please go ahead, subscribe to our school. The school's name is called Boss School. I'm here to try to help as many tech professionals become their own boss as possible in 2025. See you in school. Don't be late to school. I'll see you guys all later. Lawrence, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, appreciate it. Thank you so much, Richard.